Our next video, we're going to be going through just kind of the second part of the first section for this week in the Come Follow Me manual. And so this section is specifically talking about like things that the adversary might do to try to attack us. So what they did in the scriptures to overcome the Nephites versus what is going on today, how the adversary is trying to overcome us in our spiritual battle.
We have the Nephites' preparation for war, and then you kind of get more of the Lamanites and
the other side of it,
yeah,
basically. So it goes through and it lists again some scriptures to look at, and it gives some answers for the first couple. So we're just going to focus on the ones that don't have answers. So the one that I'm going to do is in Alma chapter 46, verse 10. And it says, "Yea, we see that in Malachi, because he was a man of cunning device and a man of many flattering words." So first of all, he was very cunning and he used very flattering words that appealed to the natural man, to those kinds of things. "That he led away the hearts of many people to do wickedly, yea, and to seek to destroy the church of God and to destroy the foundation of liberty, which God had granted unto them, or which blessing God had sent upon the face of the land for the righteous' sake." That scripture just hit home so hard, just with everything that's going on today, specifically how they were seeking to destroy the church and the foundation of liberty for these people, the foundation of liberty to have the church, to do the things that they wanted to do, to worship how, where, or what they may. And that's what Satan's trying to do. He's trying to take away our liberty. And that's happening in the world today. Elder Bednar, I didn't listen to the whole thing, but he actually was just very stern about how we cannot let our freedom of religion be taken away from us. How it is very close to happening these days, and how that liberty is fundamental for us to live. And that's, exactly what happened to the Nephites, is they were getting their liberties taken away. The Lamanites were trying, and so they had to stand firm and stand up and fight for their liberty and for the church of God and for freedom.
Yeah, and how quick those freedoms were taken away. How quick our right to gather and our right to worship. And it is interesting though, but leading people to do wickedness or to be wicked, and he did that through cunning and flattering words. It's interesting how in today's world there's lots of acts happening all around us that people do in the name of it being okay, it being accepted, and things that we would have seen as morally wrong, and we do see as morally wrong, are being applauded and accepted. And it's just interesting how this one man had that ability through his cunning and flattering words.
Yeah, well, like things in the past that weren't culturally accepted now are. And so it's just, and I think what's interesting is because of this cunning device and many flattering words, I think lots of times people don't realize, and when we sin and stuff, we might not realize that we're going astray. We don't realize where we are because it is so flattering and it does sound so right in a sense, or make sense of certain things or whatever. And so I think it's very important to have the gift of discernment. We have to be able to have the spirit to discern.
Which is the perfect segue into our next principle of one of Satan's or the adversary's tactics to destroy us. It's the story of Lahontai, who is poisoned by degrees. Spoiler alert. And so just want to analyze a couple of aspects of this story. This is Alma 47, verses 10 through 19 is where you get the gist of this story. And you see a lot of tactics of the adversary in these verses. And so I think what's interesting is, so we got Malachi, right? Malachi, we know that he is a wicked man. He is stirring up the Lamanites, who didn't seem to be that wicked. And that's kind of the interesting thing here, right? We know about the teachings of Alma and Malachi and Amulek, what was I saying? I'm thinking of Malachi, but you've got Amulek and Alma, and you've got the sons of Mosiah, and they're teaching the Lamanites, and a lot of them are coming unto the truth, or learning of the truth. But Malachi and the Zoramites, they wile up the Lamanites into committing a lot of these acts. And so you've now got Malachi going to Lehantai, and immediately Lehantai does not want to give in. Lehantai's up on a hill. He's safe. He's protected. He's in a position of power. And Malachi says, "Come on down. Bring your guards. Bring everyone you need for your own protection. But come down." And Lehantai says no. And then again he asks, desiring him a second time, "Come down." And what does Lehantai say?
No.
And then comes a third time, desiring that he would come down, verse 12, and that he would bring his guards with him. "Don't worry, I'm not going to hurt you. You can bring your guards. I just want to talk to you." And again, what does Lehantai say?
Nope.
So then in verse 13, "And it came to pass that when Lehantai had come down," I'm skipping a part. "So then the fourth time the message came unto Lehantai, desiring that he would come down. But this time Amalickiah says, 'I'll meet you halfway. I'll come up a little bit if you'll just come down a little,'" right? Just come down a little bit, and we can make this all work.
And bring your guards and everything as well. Making
Yeah.
him feel super safe.
Yeah, and that's such a tactic of the adversary. And so this then happens, and they have this conversation, and then here comes that cunning, and here comes the flattering words again, where Amalickiah says, "Take all my servants, take all my people, and they will support you, O great king. Just let me be second in command. You're still the leader. You still will rule your army and my army, and I'll just be the second in command." And so he uses these words, which Lehantai agrees to. And what happened is he lets in an evil man into a position of trust. And then we have the famous verse that's been quoted in so many general conferences addresses. I remember on my mission because it was quoted by two speakers in general conference. But here comes verse 18. "And it came to pass that Amalickiah caused that one of his servants should administer poison by degrees to Lehantai, that he died." And so you just get that idea of little by little, sin crept into the life of Lehantai, ultimately leading to his death.
It's just crazy how the adversary works. And one thing that also kind of hit me was the fact that Amalickiah, he gave up his own people for this. Like Satan doesn't help his own. He'll like leave everyone high and dry. He gave up his own people for his own gain. And he will do the same. We have this false sense of security and false sense of power and everything. But once the time comes, he'll drop you. He doesn't support his own. And so that was just something that Amalickiah did to his own army that he was supposed to be in charge of and protect.
So as we continue in the war chapters, as we continue in our reading, it is important to know what we can do to prepare. We talked about that in the first video. What are things that we can do to prepare ourselves in this war, this spiritual war that is amongst us all around? But an important thing of war strategies is also knowing the devices of the enemy, the evil one, the adversary. And it is wise to look at some of those tactics because Satan also works according to some of these tactics.
And isn't it just amazing? Everything in the Book of Mormon was written for us for a reason. And it's just so cool to be seeing the things that we are learning in the Book of Mormon and how applicable they are to us today. And so it's such a testimony builder of the gospel, just of the Book of Mormon, of the prophets of old, of Christ and of God, and how they knew exactly what we need right now. And we have it in front of us to be able to help us get through our lives today.
Yeah, I think it's Alma. We were reading with our kids the other night, and Alma commands Helaman, his son, to write down a prophecy that wasn't even to be delivered to his people. Like, he specifically wanted this prophecy to be written for the future. And it's just so many of these writers, Mormon and Moroni especially, that saw our day. And so looking forward to more of the war chapters.